Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Walleye Files. Mr. Daniel Harper is with me, and we've got a different kind of show today. We're doing a bit of a little nostalgic show. We're going to talk some stories on the water, traveling together. We're going to talk some dream destinations for both of us, and then we're going to follow it up with our Mount Rushmore of anglers. Buddy, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing, my friend?
Oh, buddy, I am so happy to see you. Life is good. Life is busy. For those that don't know, I just took a new job. Things are about to get a little crazy here for me, but super happy to be here. I'm super excited. This is going to be a really fun one.
Yeah, it should be a good time. Something different.
Yeah, it's a little different. We're not talking about tournament life, or about our current tournament life. We're going to talk about some memories and some other things we've had in our lives. And yeah, this is going to be a pretty special show I think, for the both of us. Of course, we can't do this without our amazing sponsors, Lake Effect Lures, Striker Brands, Walleye Nation Creations, Bellevue Spice Company, Image 360, and Crown Trophy of Oshkosh, Wisconsin, and Thunderhook Fly-Ins. That's the other one. I usually have it written down. I'm not very good at remembering things, so I'm glad I remembered them all for that one. Hey guys, today's show is brought to you by Walleye Nation Creations, lures built by anglers for anglers. From the death jig to crankbaits that drive big walleyes crazy, they've got the tools to help you land your next trophy. Make sure to gear up at walleyenationcreations.com. Mr. Harper, give me a memory, give me a story, give me something that hooked you on walleye fishing, buddy.
So I remember my dad was a charter captain, and we ran out of the Sandusky Bay when I was a kid. And back then, that was like early 90s, early mid 90s, just kind of learning how to cast. The first one I ever caught, which was an interesting story. We were just inside the Sandusky Bay, and we were casting Erie in like 10 foot of water. And I hooked one, caught it, hooked it and was reeling it in. And we didn't have a net, and we really didn't know kind of what I had on the line yet. So it was me, my older brother, who was I was probably 4 or 5, and my baby brother, my mom, and we were at a 19-foot bow rider. Didn't have a net, and we had a 5-gallon bucket. So I'm in the corner of the boat. Dad scoops over with the bucket, big gray bucket, scoops in. It's like a little 19-inch walleye. And we're like, oh my God, we finally caught a walleye. This was before he was a captain, and we really even knew what the heck we were doing. And we were so proud that we finally caught this little stupid walleye. And that was probably like my first memory of walleye fishing and kind of falling in love with the sport. A great second part to that little story was my dad's bow rider had like a linoleum or like a plastic kind of covering down the gunnels. So I took all of my Erie Dearies and I stuck them in the plastic all the way down the side of the boat. And he about lost his mind when he saw what I did. But I had to have it organized because I was changing colors. So that was that was a good first start.
If anybody knows Dan, he does this on all the carpeting in his boat.
there's usually something somewhere, everywhere in all of the carpet. Yeah. So yeah, that's like a good first start. What about you?
Yeah. So for me, my start wasn't even like this is what I want to do forever. Wasn't even walleye fishing. It was we were at a campground. My sister wasn't even born yet. I was like 4. We're casting, catching bluegills, and I'm reeling a bluegill, and his largemouth comes up and just chokes it. And I'm like, Dad, I got a big fish. And he's like, yeah, okay, you got a big fish. And he turns around and he looks, he's like, oh, that's like a 4-pound largemouth. Oh my God. So I got this thing up to close to shore. He's like, give me the rod and go tell Mom to go get the camera. So he hands me this rod. Or I hand him this rod, and he's fighting this fish for me. He gets it up, we're getting close to the shore, and I go tearing through this campground. A little 4-year-old kid screaming, running through this campground, yelling, Mom, get the camera the whole time. I get my mom, we get the camera, we get back down to the water. Largemouth is there. Mom still has this picture in her room on her bedside table. Just smiling away. Dad's holding on to this, 3 to 4 pound largemouth, happy as can be. And that was it. That was the start for me. Growing up, getting to watch my dad fish as a professional, traveling the country, getting to travel and pre-fish with him, and then kind of transition out. He becomes a guide, learning from him, learning from all his friends, Danny and Dan Ploutz, Mark Presta, Pat Schutte, all the guys that travel with him. Just learning and absorbing all the things from those guys. None of that would have happened if you didn't have the start, if you didn't have the first memory where you went, oh my God, this is the best thing in the world. And that's truly how I've felt since I was 4, maybe even younger.
Yeah, that's a good story. I think to follow you up on the bluegill story was we had this campground here on the bay, and just as like a little tournament intro. Again, I was probably 6 or 7, and we'd fish the marina all the time when we were on the boat. And I don't know if it was FLW or somebody was having a bass event on the Sandusky Bay or on Lake Erie at that time, and there was 2 boats coming in the marina to be pitching under our docks because we always had good bass under there. And I had a little red and white bobber, just a little tiny one with like probably 18 inches of dropper. And I used to run these little orange ice jigs, tipping with a couple maggots, and I would just work it right along the shoreline or the docks. And he was coming, I don't know who the guy was, but he was coming in to pitch under the dock in the corner where I was. And there was like 10 people watching me. And they saw the guys coming in, and just boom, 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 right down, and stuck whatever that one is right there in front of the FLW guy, and everybody's just going crazy. And I felt a little bad, but I didn't. But that was a story that always sticks with my head too.
You've told me that story before because I've been in your apartment. I've seen that fish. You've told me all about it, and I love it. I couldn't imagine being the tournament guy wanting to rip my hair out if I needed that fish. But
yeah, he's not the best. He's not the biggest and best one, but he's a great one that I always take with me.
Yeah. It's I don't know. Tournament fishing is special to me, and it'll always be special to me. Like I said, I grew up around it. I've met some of my best friends in the world because of it. You were, for the people that have not watched a lot of this, a lot of the Walleye Files, 2021, I decided to fish a National Walleye Tour event on Lake Erie. I've never been to Lake Erie. I'm like, screw it, I'm going to go fish it. I had a pretty awesome season the year before. I had a really good year going into the championship. Got COVID before the championship in 2020. Didn't go. Went to Lake Erie, pre-fished for 4 or 5 days. Caught, I don't know how many hundred walleyes. Just a lot of them. Had a great bite going into the tournament. My fish kind of left. Didn't understand how to figure them out, how to chase them. Day 1, I come in with like 17 pounds. Just a terrible day on Lake Erie. And I was going to go home. I'm like, screw this. I'm not fishing for points. I'm fishing 2 events this year. I already fished the Green Bay one and zeroed the one day. I lost like 4 or 5 fish that day. And I'm like, oh, screw it. I'm going to go home, go see my girlfriend, who's now my wife, or fiance at that point. And I get this phone call from this guy who's supposed to be my partner. And he's like, yeah, buddy, I'm in like 20th for angler of the for co-angler of the year, trying to get to the championship. And I'm like, man, all right, I guess I'm going to fish tomorrow, fish with this dude. This dude doesn't show up to the dock on time. And I'm calling this guy like 3 times, and he's not showing up. And I'm like, what the hell is this shit? I'm not happy. And it's like 10 minutes before we're supposed to take off, and this dude calls me, yeah, I'll be right down. And he comes walking down the dock, and he's got tackle boxes in his hand. The co-anglers aren't supposed to have tackle boxes. He gets in my boat, and he goes, buddy, my name's Dan Harper. How you doing? And I'm like, what the hell's going on? We go on out and crack the shit out of him. And by the end of the day, he was invited to my wedding. And a year later, he was in my wedding. And now he's sitting on this podcast, and he's my best friend, one of my 2 or 3 best friends in the world. So, the coolest thing about the National Walleye Tour and traveling. If you have ever thought about being a co-angler or a pro, I suggest you do it, because the coolest thing about traveling as an angler is the people that you meet. I get to travel with my best friends. The stories are pretty wild sometimes. We'll get into a few more of them pretty quick here, I'm sure.
Yeah, I would also just to further that point. Yeah, definitely. If you are considering into tournament fishing, join the co-angler side. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know what the rules were per se about what you could do, what you couldn't do. I was like, this dude seems pretty cool. Our mutual friend Greg was like, "Oh, I just met Brandon. He's your pro for tomorrow. It seems like a pretty good deal." I was like, "Cool. I'll show up. We'll go fishing." And we pretty much fished right in front of my house and played air guitar in the back of the boat all day. I think there was a couple camera boats over there that might have seen that. I'm not sure. But we had a ride, and we that thunderstorm on the way back in when we got in front of Lorraine, and we're like, oh, we're about to be screwed, and we're just like, hoodies are tight, and we're just like driving into like a thunderstorm, and then we stopped right in front of Huron. I'll still never forget that whole day. And then we thought we had a big one, and it was a big sheephead, but it was still a great day.
Yeah,
It's the start.
It was one of those things, one of those days where you look back on as a tournament angler when you fished it and you were like, yeah, it was fine. We caught some fish. We had a nice day. We had an okay weight. But as as you go on in life, you look back and go, shit, I met my best friend as a random draw with 147 boats.
And the day you were going to go home.
And on a day that I was going to leave and not fish.
Yeah.
On a tournament that I almost didn't go to.
And if you think about it, I don't mean to bring this up for our mutual friend Jesse, but I think he broke his motor.
Oh, he did.
And you stayed at the ramp, I think, to help him and Greg. And Greg, I traveled with Greg, and then Greg talked to you, and that's where we talked. And you're like, all right, I'll stay. And it was kind of like this whole weird situation of events that led to us meeting.
This episode of the Walleye Files is presented by Image 360 Inc. and Crown Trophy of Oshkosh, Wisconsin. For over 30 years, Image 360 and Crown Trophy have been Oshkosh's go-to for signs, vehicle graphics, custom apparel, and awards. Proudly serving northeastern Wisconsin with quality that speaks volumes. Your brand deserves to stand out. Let's make it unforgettable. Need signs that pop, graphics that roar, and branded apparel that turns heads? Image 360 and Crown Trophy in Oshkosh have been rocking northeastern Wisconsin for 30 years. From bold branding to epic awards, we bring your vision to life. Let's go. Love Image 360 and Crown Trophy. So yeah, Jesse's motor legitimately broke off the back of his boat. Maybe I'll put a picture like right here. Jesse's motor broke off the back of his boat. I'm trying to help him. Greg's there and Kim's there. I'd never met Kim before. I've met Greg twice at this point. And Jesse's like, we're trying to get Jesse's boat on a trailer, which isn't a thing, with a motor dragging on the ground. And Greg, Greg's like, oh, your partner's Dan Harper, because I get the phone update. And he's like, oh, he's a good dude. And I'm like, yeah, everybody's a good dude. Okay, whatever. And he turns around and looks at his wife, Kim. Miss Kim, if you're watching, I appreciate it. Because I think this is what did it. Kimmy goes, oh, Dan's just the best guy. And I'm like, okay, I guess I better fish with this guy. Because we just talked on the phone like 5 minutes before. And I was going to go pack my stuff up and go home.
Yeah, that was just the craziness of the world that brings people together. Yeah, definitely recommend doing it.
Yeah, if you decide, if you've ever thought about fishing the National Walleye Tour as a co-angler, both of us suggest you do it. I didn't do it. I jumped into the pro side because I thought I was good enough and ready to do it. I don't know if I'm good enough and ready to do it, but it's been a hell of a ride so far.
Absolutely.
Looking into some of the other stories, other things we've dealt with on the road. I mean, we've blown tires and wheel bearings and broken bow mounts and fixed just about everything you could fix. Trim switches that are stuck at the launch as the as the national anthem is playing and Dan's trim switch is stuck and I'm punching it while pouring water on it.
Yeah, thank you, Kylie, for getting all
Kylie.
Yeah.
Just the coolest thing about traveling is you get to endure all the craziest crap in the world with friends.
Yeah, Russian disco parties at Winnebago.
Yeah, our first year traveling together, we're fishing Lake Winnebago. It is Dan and I staying in a motel room. We
Put it
didn't have a
mildly.
lot of money to spend on things outside of tournament entry fees. We were staying at a little cheap motel, and it was like $40 a night. And two rooms down from us, there are some guys that are Russian. They don't speak a lot of English, and they're catching every white bass they can catch, and they're cooking them up in their motel room, and it's like black smoke rolling out the door. They're pumping Russian disco, and we're like, Dan and I are getting a little hammered every night, laughing at them. Just disco Dan Harper, yeah, it's just the silliest things. I mean, the things you can see on the road. 2024 National Walleye Tour out of Ocano. It's 11 o'clock at night. Dan and I are a bit inebriated, and we're talking about pulling the kickers off our boat to get better fuel mileage. So we're walking outside, seeing how many bolts we got to take off of our kickers to pull it off at 11,
Yeah, I think
12
we were out
o'clock
there
at
till
night.
like 1. We were out there till 1:30 in the morning looking at them. We're like, I wonder what's the fuel mileage.
Yeah.
We were like 94 miles or whatever that was up there. Like, oh, that might save us. It's 70 pounds. I don't know. I think man.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, some of the things you do or get to do or get to see on the road are some of the wildest things you'll ever experience. You got
100%.
a memory together, like you and me, that you play back in your head a lot, buddy.
Yeah, we've talked about it a ton. It's probably the same one that you're thinking about too. But when we did, because I met you and we did Huron, and then like the next season, that'd have been about just a little less than a year later. They did the MWC out of Green Bay. And you're like, hey, you want to do that one? And I was still traveling as a co, and I was on my way to where were we on that one? Not Lacrosse,
Prairie
Prairie
du
du
Chien.
Chien. And you're like, yeah. I was like, yeah, sure. I never hair jigged the way you guys do up there. Never really caught a fish on a rip and wrap, but I was like, sure, let's do it. And so we drive up there, or I drive up there and do the whole week of practice. And there's all kinds of stories within that. But I think the memory for me that kind of sealed the deal for us fishing together was breaking your boat in practice, switching to your old boat, which was your money making boat, making the 45-mile run north and pretty good going down swells and pretty good swells. Get all the way up there. The wind's blowing. Things just aren't right. You're not super happy. And it's just was like, just spot lock it, bro. Like we were trying to make drifts and do all the things, and you spot locked it. I tuck in my coat, light a little smoke, fire a bomb cast. I think the second crank, it dunk. And it was like a 31 incher. You know, I got him. You're like, you got him? And I was like, yeah, I got him. He's like, you a good one? I was like, feels like a pretty good one.
Dan gets
up
his
to the
fish
side
up
of
to
the
the
boat. You guys
boat,
in that?
and I'm looking down, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, and I net it, and it's like an 11-pounder, and we're high fiving. Sorry to cut you off, but so we're high fiving, and we fished for the next 4 hours. We got 2 more tanks in the boat. We've got 27 pounds for 3 fish, and our next play was, hey, we had some fish going south, so we're gonna run south, pull some cranks on some shallow sand rock transitions, and fill out our limit. So we get down there, we open the live well up. There's no water in the live well. We're scooping water in the live well with an 8-pound ice bag, and we start trolling. And Dan and I are
Actually hold.
oh boy, what do we got going here? Do you have the jig?
It takes 4 of these to fill a Ranger live well.
Yeah,
It
so
takes
4 of those
4
fills a
Cabela's
Ranger live well.
It will fill a Ranger live well.
So we get down to this lower portion of Green Bay from where we're at. We fill up the live well finally a little bit, and we start trolling. And mind you, Dan and I have never spent. We spent 6 days together at this point, and then we've fished together 2 other times besides this. Dan's Dan, are you like 6'3"?
Yeah, 6'3", 240.
Yeah, Dan's a big boy. I'm 5'11", like 180. I'm not a big boy at this point. And this big old dude turns around and he just gives me this hug. And I'm like, what's going on, buddy? And he's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, why are you hugging me? And he's like, I didn't get us in the big fish pot. And Dan cost us about $2,500 for the tournament.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely an event I'll always remember. Because I'm super frustrated up front. And he's just spot lock it, buddy. And the next cast he catches an 11-pounder. The other one I can think of, the other memory that I think of like that really comes to mind is the year before that in September when you came and just fun fished with me. We'd never really played with live scope before. He was on his way home from Otter Tail. That's the championship that Eric McCoy won. And he's like, we got to figure out live scope. And I had an active target on the front of my boat. And we dialed it in and we caught like 50 fish that day on the river. And it was like 20 feet, pitch a cast out, got him. 50 feet, Dan would cast out, got him. And we were doubling and we were high-fiving. And that was kind of the beginning of us as partners, as tournament partners. We were like, starting to think alike, start to talk like, hey, this is how we want to do things. For those that don't know, Dan and I spend probably, 4 days a week on the phone together for a couple hours when I'm on nights and Dan's on nights. That's his favorite time because it's like 5 to 6 hours at a crack when we have phone calls on our nights off. I mean, we spend a lot of time talking tackle and about life and about fishing in preparation for the National Walleye Tour. And that was kind of the beginning of, hey, we got to start upping our game, understanding the technology, understanding how to do these. This episode of the Walleye Files is brought to you by Thunderhook Fly-Ins, the premium fly-in fishing destination in Ontario, Canada. Trophy walleyes, giant pike, and remote wilderness adventures await. Book your trip now at thunderhook.com. Stepping our game up as anglers and trying to learn how to be better and to jive with each other. It was pretty cool. Man, I don't know. It's been a wild ride, and this coming year is going to be a really, really good one.
Yeah, I think the cool thing, just as all these stories, I mean, I'm sure everybody that travels or fishes all has great stories, but it's just kind of both of us putting ourselves out there, giving you, opening yourself up to new friendships and opportunities, and just like appreciating the little silly, stupid moments along the road. Like, what did oh my God, I'm totally drawing a blank on his name. When we pulled into Marinette and we parked your boat in front of your buddy's house.
Colin. My good friend
I
Colin.
never met the kid. I just barely knew Brandon, and this was like the second time I think I've seen you in person for like whatever, a couple hours. And your buddy walks out, and what does he say?
Colin lives in Marinette. Mr. Salvard, if you're watching, I appreciate you. I love you, buddy. My good friend Kyle's got a Triton. He's got a 19-foot Triton or 20-foot Triton. Colin walks out of his house. We parked next to his house. He told he was nice enough to let us stay at his house the whole week, and we partied with him, had a few drinks, and he comes walking out of his house. I haven't seen Colin for like 2 years, and I go up and shake his hand and kind of give him a hug, and he's like, "It's good to see you, buddy. Yeah, that tree over there is dropping some shenanigans on your boat there. You might want to cover it." And I really like Kyle's boat better than yours.
And just sitting there, he's like, this guy's just dropping a bunch of shenanigans down there. You want to be careful, put the cover on. I don't know. For me, it put me on the ground. I don't think I still stopped laughing about that.
Yeah, Ed the Diver is his neighbor. Ed, good to talk to you, Ed. We appreciate you. It was a kind of a cool week fishing our first event together. Was pretty wild, but
Absolutely.
well, we can move on from this segment because
that could be a whole
people
podcast right there.
This could be a whole podcast, and people are probably tired of hearing us ramble about some little stories already. But Do you have any destinations that we haven't gone to that you're like, we gotta go there?
So for me, a dream trip, I think that like would be something special. My background is walleye fishing, and I enjoy a lot of that, obviously. But trout fishing is very close second to first, depending on the day of the week for me. Dry fly fishing is something that I take um, very seriously, and I enjoy those moments a lot. It's another aspect of fishing that's led me to some of the best people in my life. I've got friends in Montana, Michigan, Key West, the Bahamas, that fly guide all around the world for trout and saltwater. But dry fly trout fishing is kind of my special place. I would love to take you out to like somewhere like my favorite river. There's a few favorites, but I think the Henry's Fork in northeastern Idaho, and get to see some big like 30-inch super smart browns or and rainbows just rising on little size 20 dry flies. Um, and then that whole system out there, the walleyes on like up in the middle Missouri or up on even up by Fort Peck, anything out that way in Montana, I think would be just a dream trip destination. Something we could explore walleye, big walleyes out there, and just kind of show you that whole trout world. I think would be an awesome trip.
Yeah, that's I wrote Fort Peck down. I've got like 4 bodies of water written down because they're places I've just never been. And Fort Peck's one that I would love to go deep fishing for walleyes. Because you see guys like Owen Wilcox and Gage Gordon, those guys crack some absolute like giants, like 32, 33, 34-inch walleyes. So that'd be really cool. Um, you know, places like Lake of the Woods that Jake Caughey and Will Papafoose, those guys spend a lot of time at. I've never been to a lot of those places, so I'd really love to go try them, just to try them. I don't need to go fish tournaments at places, but I would love to go play around and just have some fun at some of those places. Bay of Quinte in the fall, like right now,
Yeah,
giants. And then I wrote down for like an exotic one, I wrote down Arctic char in Alaska because I watched the Jay Siemens video. For some reason, this gets back to Jay. Jay, I'd love to have you on the podcast. But the Arctic char video that you shot was some of the most insane footage that I've ever seen. Like they're catching pinks and they're catching other salmon and they're catching other trout. But the Arctic char look like flipping pumpkins and they look insane. That would be an absolute blast.
yeah. I think that's the walleye fishing. I mean, I could walk out back and I live in a concrete apartment building, and I could probably catch walleye tonight. Trout fishing, especially in for those beautiful fish, takes you to some of those places where you're like, wow, oh my God. We've got a little creek in southwest Montana where you got to go back in Idaho, then back up in Montana. It's like 3 hours on a dirt road, and we're going to just look for big cutthroats. And nobody really knows about them. I've got a buddy that lives out there. He introduced me. I've been sworn to secrecy, or I will be murdered. Um, but I'm not even kidding you. They're, in the low end, 22 to 23, and the high end, 28, 29, 30-inch cutties. And we're catching them on dry flies. And we can also get a 17 to 20-inch grayling in there. And there are grizzlies on the other side of the creek. The moose will stomp you. Um, but just those fish and how beautiful they are and the environment that you catch them in, those are just super special. I'm sure that the char thing, right? That's You're catching beautiful pumpkins, and that's awesome. And you're also like in just one of the most beautiful places ever created by God, and it's just awe inspiring. And I think that's what makes some of those ideas and those trips just super special.
Yeah, I think for me, like, it's not so much about catching the fish as it is the journey to catch the fish. I mean, even our tournament fishing, we all want to win. I want to win in the worst way. I would give up a kidney to win a National Walleye Tour event tomorrow. I would do it without even thinking. But the journey to winning and the journey to being a tournament angler, or the journey to fishing in Alaska or Idaho or wherever, is just as special as winning sometimes. Because when you look back on it, I could tell you about winning a tournament. That's a 30-second story. but the last 5 years on the road together as best friends, as tournament fishermen, we could talk about this for weeks.
I agree 100%. And I think sometimes it's nice for a guy who is what we do as hard as we do it, to take a moment and to do something else, to remember why you got into fishing, whether it's catching bluegills or dry fly trout fishing or whatever, and to take a moment away from all the stress and everything we build up into these events and the travel and the years and the practice and everything, and to just sit down on a riverbank in an evening and waiting for a hatch or spinner fall, like on the Asable in Grayling, Michigan, and you're just looking for one drake or hacks to come down on the right line so that big brown will come up, and just to take in that moment and realize kind of why you still love it, why you got into it, what makes it special for you, and to step away from those high pressure and all that stress we put on ourselves situations and just be in the moment a little bit. I think we could all do that a lot more.
Yeah, I think keeping this fun as tournament fishermen is the biggest challenge sometimes. I know I've struggled with it. I mean, you were next to me in 2024. I was the only guy on our team that didn't make the championship. That flipping sucked because I worked just as hard as everybody, and it becomes stressful. You're spending a lot of money and spending a lot of time away from home, away from your wife, away from your family, on the water, missing holidays, missing birthdays, and all the things. And we don't have to do those things, right? This isn't our livelihood. But we chase our dreams a little bit. It's pretty special to us, and our families understand that. That's the coolest thing. I'm incredibly blessed. My wife's upstairs watching some dramatic TV show that I can't stand probably, but I love my wife to death. She, I can't do this without her. I can't do this podcast without her support, but I really can't tournament fish without it. I can't leave home and just not think about home for a week at a time without her support. I can't do all the things. I mean, she's pre-fished with me. She's fished tournaments with me. She spent time, me and you and her having dinner and drinks, and Dan getting my wife drunk on her. Yeah, Dan's getting my wife drunk on his balcony while there's walleyes biting out back. I mean, just it becomes a larger family at the end of the day. Dan is my brother. He's one of my best friends. He's family to me. So yeah, the support that I get from my wife and my parents, my little sister, and those that are close to me is next to none.
Yeah, I think that, and sometimes you're doing a great job, and all the interviews and all that stuff's great. And I think sometimes it's just good for people just to talk about why we love it and do what we do, and the memories that we've created and the journeys. At some point, it will stop. It will end. So just reflecting on where you came from, who supported you, who supports you, where you're going, what your aspirations and dreams are, and what you're trying to do to get there, and just kind of just taking it all in and just kind of just remembering what makes it great for you. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, these are dreams that we're chasing and living out. It's pretty special. It's really, I mean, other than the money aspect of things, it's no different than guys like a guy like Jordan Love playing football in the NFL because he's dreamed about it since he was a little kid. It's no different than, you know, I don't know. You can insert any example here. Sammy Sosa playing baseball for the Cubs and winning, whatever. But it doesn't matter who it is or what their dream is. If you chase it like we do, if there's a lot of drive, there's a lot of passion involved and a lot of work. And lucky enough to have the platform to sit here and talk about it. It's pretty cool. But Dan and I have just forced every bit of overtime and blood, sweat, and tears we can into paying for some things, and it's just been an insane ride.
I agree, 100%. Well said.
So Mount Rushmore of anglers, Dan. we've talked about this at length on the phone, but we've never actually given each other our Mount Rushmores. Do you
Yeah.
have? We're gonna go with 5 because four is a regular Mount Rushmore. We're gonna go with a hybrid Mount Rushmore. We're gonna go our five anglers that we think are, at least to us, that are most influential. I think.
Yeah, I think my list will probably be not super well known for maybe some people, maybe it will, I don't know. But to me, it's where I remember fishing starting and where it has gone to this day for me. The first guy for me would be Flip Pallet. He recently passed. I remember as a kid, like super young, when ESPN would still do fishing shows every Saturday morning. I wake up at 5 in the morning and I would watch like Walker's K Chronicles, and I would see those guys just screaming across the water, just catching huge tarpon, understanding the fisheries, the intricacies of tying these big flies for these huge fish, and just the magicalness of that whole thing. Like for me, where I came from, he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore.
Ooh, that's a really good one. I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
So I think for a tournament anglers aspect, for at least a walleye tournament anglers aspect, Mr. Al Linder is the first one up on my list. Um, Obviously, what he has done as a TV guy is next to nothing between establishing in fishermen what the Linders have done, establishing in fishermen, establishing a TV show that is run for I couldn't even tell you how many years. Um, a magazine that has been successful for so many years, but Al Linder was the guy that helped start walleye tournament fishing, that helped, he was the MC, he was helping with camera crews, he was a large part behind the walleye fishing industry. And without him, we would not be doing what we're doing today as far as tournaments.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Yeah. And I mean, and what is he even top 10 in a classic too?
I think he does. I think he
I think
does.
he's,
I think
I
he
think
fished
he's,
one of the first ever Bassmaster Classics. Because he was good buddies with Ray Scott. I'm sure he got
yeah,
in somehow. I think he took second at a classic in like Tennessee or something, didn't he?
I can't remember for sure, but I'm pretty sure he's got a classic
Okay,
check
we
too.
gotta know. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm
Like
gonna go
just,
on the phone.
yeah, just the ability for that guy to innovate new techniques to develop an industry and then also do it in bass.
This episode of the Walleye Files is brought to you by Lake Effect Lures, the tackle that turns every cast into a catch. Built for serious anglers, tested on real fish, and proven to get bites when nothing else will. Get yours at lakeeffectlures.com. ChatGPT's thinking. Here's a summary. He made 3 classic appearances.
Yeah.
Second place in a Bassmaster Classic.
I mean, just, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's wild.
that's insane.
That's,
Okay, what do you got next, my friend?
I think along those names or along that idea, there's another name that I'll do next, but I think guys like Gary Roach, obviously the Linders, and all those guys that work to develop the techniques, jigging, early crankbait trolling. I know Ross Robertson did a lot of work with Gary Roach back here in the late mid '90s, early 2000s, done developing crankbaits and that whole program and all those innovators in the sport. I don't think we would be where we are without guys like Gary Roach and them. The Caviases, the Parsons, those kind of guys that just took a little bit, developed, and kind of ran off and tried and traveled and kind of laid the landscape for what we now know as tournament fishing of, all that we do.
Do you have an individual one?
Uh, I would say Gary Roach for me. I got one of his books over here. I read the jigging, the fuzzy grub thing that he was doing on the reefs was very, when I was a kid, was like he was pitching jigs minnows with Lindy fuzzy grubs. I never did that. We cracked hair jigs, but the ideas and his premise of kind of where he came from and all that stuff was huge for me.
I like it. That's a really good one. My next one is I believe, the all-time money-winning angler, Tom Keenan. He's made over $1 million in the sport. FLW Tour champion, National Walleye Tour winner, FLW Tour winner. I believe he won a PWT. Multiple-time Angler of the Year for multiple circuits. Like, as consistent of an angler as you can find. Just an all-around really good angler. I mean, just an all-around polished angler.
Just savage too. He would just have that tournament mindset and just that focus and that drive.
Put the blinders on, go catch the
Right here.
walleyes, win
Right
some
here.
cash.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. I think the next guy for me, probably not a lot of people will know, but that's fine. It's for me. There is a fly tyer named Rene Harper. He's wrote a bunch of books. He lives out in northeastern Idaho. I think the thing that puts a man like that on my Mount Rushmore on my map is his attention to understanding his surroundings on the river. He lived out there on the Henry's Fork, and going through the seasons of the different bugs, the hatches, the stages of those bugs, whether the trout are eating emergers or dry or duns or spinners or whatever, the caddis versus a mayfly, or the different materials that would go into how to get whatever he was trying to create the right way. And that attention to detail and that attention to understanding his surroundings. It's trout fishing. I personally love that. But I think it's applicable for me in a lot of the walleye world too, is looking at understanding the situation, looking at currents, what the fish are doing, what they're feeding on, what's the size of the bait fish, all that kind of stuff. I try to pull pieces of that, what I learned from that guy, into kind of what I do now. And I don't think I would be as good as I think I can be without coming and understanding somebody like that. So for me, he's definitely on my Mount Rushmore.
Oh, that's a really good one. He's definitely made an impact on you. I see it every time we talk.
Yeah.
My next angler is probably one of the 2 or 3 most dominant anglers from 2000 to 2008 time period, Mike Goffron. Quiet. One of the quietest people you'll ever meet. Super reserved, incredibly respectful. But when he speaks, you need to listen. I want to get him on the podcast. We actually filmed something with him right away when we started, and it didn't work out. We just didn't get any good film. So I'm going to try to talk to him again. But Mike Goffron is absolutely PWT Top Gun winner, PWT Angler of the Year, multiple wins. Is dominant as anybody from the early 2000s. And he's an incredible live bait fisherman. He's learning forward-facing sonar. He's fishing the World Walleye Association events in Illinois with his son. I believe they won Team of the Year this year, or they took second. I mean, he's as good as anybody. He truly is, and he has been for 30 years.
That's a good one. Someone we can all look up to for sure. I think if we get a couple more, I think one for me.
You get 2 more.
2 more. All right. Somebody, Roland Martin, Hank Parker, right? Again, back to those shows for me when we were kids. Great in the industry, great tournament finishes, developers of tackle in our industry. They really kind of led the way for how to tournament fish, how to translate that into other successes, whether tackle development, running resorts, TV shows, being good with media, all that stuff. I think you have to put maybe that guy or that little group of those guys you got to put them on the hill.
Yeah, you're not wrong. The sport is where it's at because of those guys. Those guys are absolute pioneers. My next one is the most dominant angler of all time. The most dominant angler of all time. And he's not a walleye fisherman, and that is okay. Mr. Kevin Van Dam. If somehow this reaches Kevin Van Dam, I would fangirl like no other. There was a point where they had an Elite Series event out of Green Bay, Wisconsin, and I was too freaked and scared to walk up and get a picture with him. I got his autograph. I was too scared to get a picture with him. I was outside my own mind, and I was like 21 years old. Like, this is, I was a grown up at that point, pretty much. Kevin, what he has meant to the sport of fishing will never be overlooked. I don't think anybody who, whether they're doing it with or without forward-facing sonar or anything else, will ever be as physically dominant as he was. The dude just breathed success, and he still does. His show is fantastic. He could jump back in the Elite Series tomorrow and still compete with anybody. He could still jump into MLF and compete with anybody. I know Jacob Wheeler and Trey McKinney and Chris Johnston and other guys are really, really, really good, but they aren't Kevin Van Dam. There was a point when I was like 13 years old and he won a classic that I crudely cropped his face out and put my own face on it because I wanted to see what it would look like for me holding a classic trophy. That's the dude. I want to be that guy.
I think for me, one of the cool things that I appreciate and respect about Kevin was he had down years. He had a run where everybody thought he was done and he couldn't do it, and it wasn't. And he, and then he came back and just destroyed.
Yeah,
like he fought back.
He had some down years, came back, won a tournament, won another tournament, won another tournament. The most successful angler.
Yeah. He fought hard. He pushed through it all, which I think is super respectable. Because this, what we do, will kick you down, spit in your face, kick you down again, kick your sister, crash your car into a light post, and then walk away, and then come back and kick you again. So to learn how to deal with that, push forward, and keep succeeding, go.
I like it. What do you got for your last one, buddy?
So the last one for me, so there's Round Mushroom, and then there's this little hill on the side. For me, I think I spent a lot of time, we've talked a lot about this person and a couple of these types of guys. Kyoya Fujita. For me, watching guys like him, Shakirat, kind of be steadily, quietly, consistently destroying and winning and doing well and developing new techniques and kind of just being there, not super flamboyant, just always innovating, thinking things through clearly, executing all the time. I really look up to like Kyoya in the bass world. For the walleye guys, I want to beat you all, so I don't really, my yeah. But guys like Kyoya, I really look up to him, respect him. Jay Shakirat, same thing. Just solid, great, amazing anglers. They develop techniques, tackle, baits, rods, reels, lines, always innovating. I really, really respect that. With where we are in the industry and the sport of forward-facing sonar, we're developing new, remembering the old, executing consistently. It's something that I really look up to.
I like that. Because Kyoya is an absolute animal. Obviously, Jay is great. His dad even is such a great dude. Jason's been a part of the show before. He's somebody you can walk up to and have a great conversation with any day, anytime. Yeah, those are some amazing anglers. My last one, you talk about the little hill on the side. I'm gonna try. I've had like 4 drinks tonight. I'm gonna try not to get emotional. It might happen. It might happen a little bit. Mine would be Jerry Ruffalo. That'd be my father. Yeah, it's like I said, without trying to be emotional, that it being where I'm at, and I'm very blessed as far as my life, the life that I've led, the things I've gotten to do, the people I've gotten to meet, to fish on a professional level is insane, and he put that passion there. He instilled that in me as a little kid. To grow up in a household that we had all the things we ever needed. He did his best for his family. He worked his ass off, and he got to chase his dreams. So that was pretty special for me as a kid to grow up and watch, because this is the motivation. This is seeing somebody work their ass off to chase their dreams, and then okay, this is what you need to do those things. Get after it. It was special. So, and it still is. Getting to fish with him, get to fish tournaments with him is amazing. I love doing it. I've always loved doing it, and yeah, I don't know. It's one of those things. You've met my dad. It's a lot of fun picking his brain a little bit. I think he's a down to earth dude. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Most of the time he is. So,
yeah, he's a wealth of knowledge. He's one of those guys where you just meet and you're just a better man for getting to meet somebody like him. So 100%.
Yeah. All right. Didn't cry for that. So that's good. We're close. We weren't far off. But wrapping her up, buddy. We've been rolling for 50 minutes. People are probably getting tired of listening to my voice because it's really awful. But before we do, there are some changes happening in the walleye world right now. There are some things happening head to head. The classic, what's it called? Classic Champions Tour. It's a bass tour. Is coming out with a walleye event next year. Just one, I think. I don't think they're going to do a full tour. AIM's got their NXT. The National Walleye Tour has rumored about some changes. What do we think about where the walleye industry is right now?
I think the more events that maybe guys have an opportunity to get into to grow the sport is always a good thing. Overextending, I think, is always a concern, but we'll see how that all plays out. But I think if there is more people and there is more money and there is more eyes on the world of walleye fishing, I would hope that wouldn't be a bad thing for any of us going forward. So I guess there's so many new things coming. I guess we'll have to see how it all plays out. I'm excited for next year's schedule. I'm a fan of the NWT schedule. I'm looking forward to the NWC schedule. The Loot schedule is a great one. The Michigan Walleye Trail has some really good dates. I think there's a lot of good opportunities for no matter where you are at in this country to get out and try to go fish, a series. And with more opportunities, hopefully more sponsors, more dollars, more eyes, kind of bless us all would be my thoughts on that.
Yeah. Hold on a second.
No shit, no. What do I do with my hands?
Yeah, I think more than anything, whoever you follow, whoever you're friends with, whoever you're cheering for, whatever they decide to fish, make sure you support them. All these tours, for the most part, they're people trying to make an impact on the walleye world. So I think the positivity needs to be there from us, the anglers, and the people who enjoy the sport. I'm not telling you that you can't have expectations of things. We as anglers or people who support the anglers, whatever, need to have an expectation of how things need to be or should go. But I think the world needs some positivity. I think if we come in with an open mind and a little bit of trust in some of the people running these things, that maybe 2026 might not be the perfect year, but 2028, 2029, 2030, whatever, that we're building for a happier and healthier future in walleye fishing. I think that's just one thing we need to understand and agree on.
Yeah, build continuously, kind of be trending up. Be consistently getting better for the companies, the sponsors, the anglers, the lakes, tourism, whatever. Everybody's kind of growing and going in the right direction.
You got a tip for before we roll out of here?
Well, a tip would be if you're going to come down and fish this Slam of the Brawl, make sure you check the weather because it hasn't stopped blowing out of the northwest 35 for like a month straight. For anybody that wants to come down, the water is going every which direction. So just make sure you're checking up your weather. Modus Lake Erie will give you satellite imagery if you guys are going to come down here and want to just see what the water color looks like. little tips would be maybe look for stable environments. I know the bay is going well. The harbors are starting to fire. The offshore stuff's dirty. The currents are going it's insane. So just if you guys want to come down, just look at some of the resources available before you get down here. The fishing's getting good. The fishes are getting big. If we get a chance to go after them, it's been good. But just take a look at those things before you come down here.
That's a great tip. My tip is follow the bait. Follow the warm water, follow the bait. We've talked about it a lot. We talk about it on the Great Lakes all the time. We talk about it when we travel together, that the fish might not be in a spot, but if you find bait and you find warm water, they will be in that spot at some point.
And one thing that I've learned, and I will say, because the last month I have forgotten how to fish, is forget what the hell you've been doing and don't remember to where kind of what you came from and where you kind of were growing from. Go back to that a little bit. Stop being so damn stubborn and trying to make something work that isn't working anymore. Go back to what you know how to do and do it right and execute it. And you will catch fish, because it happened for me the other day. I finally pulled my head out of my butt and stopped trying to force something, and it worked. So, yeah.
Just throw the damn hyper idle, Daniel. Just throw the hyper idle.
Dude. I know, I did.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching the Walleye Files. For me personally, I appreciate every single one of you. Make sure you like, subscribe to Walleye Files, YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Podbean, TikTok, and every other avenue you're listening from. I appreciate all of you. Daniel, thank you for being on, my friend.
Appreciate you, brother.